Do you feel that in a time when we are more connected than ever, we are drifting away from real human connection, especially to ourselves? I do. Hi, I'm Leticia Latino, and I want to invite you to join me and my very inspiring guests in exploring ways to reconnect to your essence, to your definite purpose, to what makes you tick. Are you ready? Well, hello, everybody, and welcome to a new episode of Back to Basics, Reconnecting to the Essence of You. Today, I'm joined by Kim Costa, someone who believes there's real magic at the intersection of lifestyle, purpose, and home. Kim helps people see every move as an opportunity to reset, reimagine, and design a life that truly fits who they are and who they are becoming. She's lived this herself, from building and transforming homes of all kinds to ultimately embracing a more intentionally minimalistic lifestyle. She's the creator of Lifestyle Foundations, a top performing Atlanta agent, a traveler, and an author currently writing Live in Your Wheelhouse. Kim, hello and welcome to Back to Basics.
Thank you so much, Leticia. It's so nice to be here.
Well, I'm excited. As I do a little research on all my guests, I know that you have a inspirational journey, but also because you hit home in a way. No pun intended. Like, I think home is something that we all, of course, is very important to us, but maybe we don't put that much intentional thought as you would like to. So I'm interested in this conversation, and then. Of course, tell us a little bit about the beginning of the journey. Were you always interested in like remodeling homes, design, etc., or were you passionate about other things?
Well, that was one of the things I was passionate about. As when I was growing up, my mother and I would go walk through homes under construction and just imagine, like, oh, this is, when the walls weren't quite up yet, and we would imagine, okay, how is the house going to look? Is this the kitchen? What's the function of this room? How does the flow? And we would kind of grade each home after we walked through, like, oh, I like that one because of this, or that. So I kind of grew up having an interest in homes, and my mother did as well. So sort of followed in her footsteps there. She always made a good home. But besides that, both of my parents were human resource uh, managers, and so I saw the home potential, but I also always heard about people's potential. So I've put the two together.
Oh, I love that. I love that. And career-wise, I mean, I'm always very curious, and this is something I'm passionate about, where you have people that they think, well, I was passionate about this, but I decided to become a dentist or something else, and that course correction, to better align with what you're passionate about, is something I'm particularly passionate. So was that a straight journey? Like, this is what you did? Let's say,
No, I
you
went
see
way
that
off
that's what I
course.
like. I love the out of course
I went
part.
way off course, way, way, way. So I became, due to when I got married, so I got a marketing degree. I have master's work in human resource development. I have design background. I always wanted to be with the people, doing creative things and working to better people's lives, like potential, that whole potential thing. But I somehow my former spouse and I owned a residential construction company, and we
Mhm.
needed somebody to do the accounting. And that's what I ended up doing for 25 years. So it was a very, very big detour. And I kept trying to get out and do something more creative, but we
Uh,
needed me to stay and do that. So I did that actually for 27 years. I did
mm.
a controller for small business, but I am not someone who should be doing that.
Well, but it is that this is why I'm interested in that part, because I am convinced that sometimes we are the biggest saboteurs of our
Oh, yeah.
lives, and,
Yeah.
and, and we fall into these things, and then this is all I know. And I heard this so many times, like, how would I do anything else? This is all I know how to do, and I'm not passionate, but I know how to do it, and all that. And I know people listening right now this is probably resonated with many of them because that fear of changing
Mm,
and course correcting, I think, is the biggest. We are prisoners about that fear, many of us. So
I
was
agree.
that any one thing that make you like say, "Oh, let me just stop doing what I'm doing and find passion and joy in something else?"
Well, I always knew I was more creative. And so I was in the right industries in, exterior luxury construction of exterior projects like swimming pools, just gorgeous projects, interior design. Um, so I was in the right industries, building
Mm-hmm,
beautiful
mm-hmm.
things, but I was in the wrong role. So what I figured
Oh,
out,
I love that. Mm-hmm.
yeah, I was just in the wrong. There's a book about it, From Good to Great, I think, and it's about being on the
Mm-hmm.
right bus but in the wrong seat.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought that's a really good comparison. So I
Yes, it
did,
is.
once I got divorced, I was intentionally going through all kinds of life change. And so when I got my kids most of the way through college, I said, "What, I really need to do what I want to do the rest of my life." And so I retook a personality test because I knew I liked to write. I knew that I was good with people. I knew I was creative. Um, and so it turns out I'm an ENFP. And come to find out that nowhere in the dictionary do they have an ENFP as an accountant. So no matter
Well,
how hard I
figures.
tried. I'm
That's too
supposed to be
funny.
with people. I'm not supposed to be stuck in an office doing logical, linear things. I'm supposed to be a generalist of sorts. And so once the same personality as Robin Williams, Mark Twain, Oscar
Mm,
Wilde, all the fun actor, writer type people that
mm-hmm.
work with others and really have a very large intuition. They don't think linearly, they think about potential, which totally makes sense.
Mm,
So once I figured that out, I was like, okay, well, I've always loved homes. I love people's potential. I love homes' potential. I have always been fascinated with construction and things like that. So I really need to become a realtor. There's potentially no end to the income that you can make, and I'm a hard worker. And so I put it all together and started to make the transition from corporate controller to real estate agent.
mm. I love two things of what you say, like taking the personality test.
Mm,
I think that's just brilliant because probably, I mean, you're young, but I probably you were already like midlife or,
yeah.
like you had already had a lot of experience. So that's again something like that curiosity
Hmm.
to say, let me just retake these. And then I'm also curious because I know this is a struggle for many. It's, do you think in a way, marriage sometime when it's not lived um, from the individualistic point of view, like sometimes
Mm,
we learn like if you're married, it's for everybody, right? And we
yeah.
forget who we are as a
Well,
person. And I
especially
think
the women.
exactly. And so a
Yes.
lot of we all forget what
Mm,
we like, what we enjoy. We
yeah.
put others first, and this is something that I am also passionate about. Is being a little selfish
Mm,
about who you are. And like my podcast is a good example. When I started, nobody understood why on earth would I do a podcast. And it's been over 5 years now. It just brings me great joy to connecting with people like you.
yeah.
Uh, Without doesn't have to be have a monetary return or anything like that. It's just honing in into what brings you joy.
Yes.
And I think in marriages sometimes it's not because of our spouse, is we allow it to happen. We allow
Yes.
ourselves to forget who we were to begin with.
I agree. I wholeheartedly agree. You couldn't have said it better. And I think sometimes we're taught to make sacrifices. Now, my mom was a career person, and
Mhm,
but she was also very involved with helping the family. Like she was very sacrificial in that way. So I think
mhm,
just, seeing, we had a great family, and I thought, well, that's what I need to do. I need to help the
mhm,
family. I need to pick up the slack in the business. Have a college degree. I took accounting. I can figure it out. But it was
mhm,
not, I would have been better served doing a different role in the company and us hiring an accountant, like sales and design and drawing out the pools and managing, the process. I think I would have been better at that and getting out of the office than I was, running payroll, doing job costing, entering things in QuickBooks. It was, we could have hired somebody for less than I probably could have brought into the company. And I would have been
Yeah.
much happier.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think, having that freedom is so important.
Yes, and this is something I talk to the youngster. I like to mentor young people, and this is something like I cannot emphasize more if to my younger audience out there, take some time to plan
Hmm.
which bus to, as Kim shared, you want to get on.
Yeah.
Because when they graduate, they're in such a rush to get a job and start
Mm,
producing. And very little thought gets put into what kind of company do I want to work for? Does this company stand for my values
mm,
and where I want to go? Do they represent me? Like they are not putting a lot of effort into, it's almost like a marriage. Once you go into a corporate job, especially, and then we just go with the flow and see where the boss takes us rather than knowing the direction. So I thank you for sharing that with us and with the audience. But then you became intentional. You did your personality test and you see,
hmm.
I like this segment. Now it's almost like cooking a cake, baking a cake
Yes.
and seeing what ingredients do you have and which ones may be missing. And so you embark in this new journey. And I know we are going to discuss your book, which I don't think is it out yet or not yet?
It's out in March
Oh,
2026.
congratulations. That's
Yes, I'm
exciting.
excited.
And it's called Live in Your Wheelhouse.
That's right.
Okay,
Correct.
so tell us a little bit about that.
Sure. Okay, so I started writing the book about 7 years ago in Spain, and then real estate got so busy that I had to take
Uh-huh.
a little hiatus just to service all of my clients who needed to move quickly.
Mm,
But now I've finished it here in the past 6 months, and it's due out in March. The subtitle of the book is An Empowering Guide to Stay, Go, or Reno. So it
mm,
runs through the wheelhouse process, which is eight areas of the wheel of life that one would go through this series of questions to ask themselves, how is my current situation matching up to my ideal situation? And if you rate each area from 1 to 10, and typically when people are moving, I see one or two areas down around the 1 or 2 or 3 mark. And that
mm.
means that something is very off in one of the areas, and they're trying to fix that when they move or remodel or repurpose things in their home.
Oh, that's great. That's a great model to know what you need. I'm sure that that's why you're so efficient and successful in your real estate because you're planning. You're kind of uncovering where's the gap in
Yes.
yeah.
It's kind of like applying the accounting I did for so long to people to find
Hmm.
out, are we in the red here? Are we in the black? How much profit are we making in our comfort and joy in our home? And it's just an assessment tool that I think the accounting background helped me out with. So everything that you do, you can learn something from and bring it to the next thing that you do.
I love that. And then when you put things in writing, I mean, my audience know this, but my husband and I met on Match.com 20 years ago. So we are
Wow.
an online couple, and when Match.com was really at the very early
You were
stage.
innovators.
We were innovators and got lucky. And but one of the things my husband says is that it was the first time he ever sat down to write down because he needed
Mhm.
to write down the profile and what he wanted, what he was looking for. And he surprised himself like by the things he was writing because as he was writing them, he said, "Oh, but all the women I'm going for are probably the opposite to what I'm writing." And
Oh.
so and so I imagine that to your point in the house is kind of the same. Like maybe we focus on something that
Hmm.
that we think we want, but then when you think about your day-to-day life, you say, maybe I should have compromised more here and gotten something different, right? So I imagine
Yes.
that you see a lot of that.
Absolutely. It's all about clarification. The process is just meant to clarify things. Even
Mm,
things pop up that you hadn't originally thought about because you're moving maybe for one reason, like a career change, got a promotion, it's in a different town, you're moving for that. But going through the process makes you think about all the other areas. And
mhm.
some of these things are subconscious or unconscious to where the questions in the wheelhouse assessment make you think of things you wouldn't have normally thought of, and then it becomes part of the process to fix that or maximize that area.
Mm. Interesting. And I love, I mean, I know you also are a speaker, and I think you know that the way you bring this subject is very innovative too. And I know one of the things you speak about is like if your home is helping or hindering your lifestyle or your best life. Tell us
Here,
a little bit. I'm very curious about that.
yeah, so it's really, and not to get too deep in the weeds of like, Carl Jung and um Claire Moore. She wrote a book called Home as a Representation of Self, but it is
Mm-hmm.
very true. And so that's a lot of the basis of what I'm writing about is, does your home reflect and support the best version of you, the real, your true self, who you were made to be? And if you're buying a home because of the number of bedrooms and what color the countertops are, you're probably not fully aligned with everything in the home as far as the personality of the home matching your personality, your values, and where you see yourself going in the rest of your life.
Mm. Oh, wow. That's very interesting. That's very, and how interesting because when you say your personality, it's almost like it's also an individual exercise, right? And so I
Hmm.
always joke around with that my single pad, my condo that I had before I got married. Some people joke around it was like a museum because I'm very organized person and I'm like I like everything picture perfect.
That's good.
And then you marry and you have kids and then you realize that's never going to be a museum again.
You do. You have
Eh,
to give a little grace to everybody in the house because their personality is different. Creative
exactly.
types, if they put their project away, it's like the project stops. They have to see it. And
Exactly.
so you have to understand everyone has a little bit different personality. And although it might drive you a little crazy, I think the creatives like, please don't put my things away. I was working on that. It's like killing their creativity. But then
Hmm.
the neat and organized person is like, you're cluttering my brain here. So you have to
Uh-huh.
really give space to each other. Like maybe have a room where that person can go and leave their things out that you're not going to see because it'll
Yeah, and
drive you
this is what I
nuts.
love about your proposal here. It's like I never thought it about that way, but really like everybody's passions and loves and lifestyle combined
Hmm.
impact your ideal home.
They do, and they should, because it lets everybody thrive. It's a happy household if everybody feels comfortable there.
And so what are you seeing? I mean, do you think I don't know, like there's where people struggle with buying a house
Mm.
or where that I imagine you mentioned like well like people that focus on the number of bedrooms and on this and that. Do you see where do you see the mismatch, so to speak, when you find those people that maybe are not living their ideal best happy life as it relates to their home?
Well, I think I can relate it back to one of my homes where I bought a horse farm because a lot of people in my community have horse farms. It's a beautiful area, lots of rolling pastures, but I'm not a horseback rider. I was trying to learn how to ride horses on a horse farm. So I was just kind of doing what was, a good thing to do in my area. But I'm actually a golfer and I should have stuck with that because I broke my back horseback riding. And so that's a
Oh.
very severe um, thing that happened because I made a misaligned decision on where I should be living and
Mm.
tried to force myself to do things I had I wasn't meant to do. Love the horses. Think it's fascinating to watch people who really are good at riding. I'm just so envious of them, but that's not me. So I tried to force my way into a lifestyle that was not the best fit for me.
Interesting. And I think that express, I'm curious on your end in terms of our idea of what happiness is. I think big houses or fancy houses,
Mhm.
or I think they're sometimes mistaken with like if you achieve this, you're gonna be happy and you're gonna have.
Yes.
And so I'm curious because I do remember when me and my husband were buying a house and we've been in the same house for 15 years. Like I remember driving a realtor nuts because we were like he was saying like you could have a house like we had a nice house but he wanted us to always go above, right? And
Yeah.
he said
Yeah.
you have such good credit, you have this, why are you settling here? And we kind of knew what our sweet spot was, what made us
Sure.
feel comfortable. But I think there's that kind of race, to
Mhm.
always like do better and bigger. I mean, do you see some of that happening, or
I
what's your take?
do. I do, but as you said, a bigger house doesn't mean you're happier. I've seen all kinds of I've seen happiness and contentment and alignment in large homes. Beautiful. I mean, just lovely couples with, just everything's going right for them and they're very aligned and they know who they are, which is very important. And then in some very large houses, you can feel it when you walk in the door. It's misalignment, frustration, um, just discomfort. You can feel it in the
Mhm.
home, and the people are not very happy. And so
Mhm.
there's maybe they don't know themselves, maybe they've had trauma along the way, but you can feel it uh
Mhm.
when you walk in the home. And buying a bigger home is sometimes like if you're having trouble in the marriage, um you like, let's have a baby, that'll fix everything. Well, buying a home won't
Mhm.
fix everything either.
Mhm.
And with yourself. So I think it's really going back to the foundation of yourself and the
Mhm.
foundation of the home. And in my book, it is the four M's, and that is myself, know who I am, mastery, what of my skills and gifts have I mastered? And then what do I apply them to? That's the third M, that's my mission. And then the fourth and last M is mates, who sees you for the real you and supports you in your mission. And so if you don't have those four M's solid, it's like a crack in your foundation of your house. The rest of the house is off kilter. So it applies to the self and it applies to the home.
I love it. You're like a therapist and a real estate agent all in one. I love this.
People tell me that sometimes. I know you're not
Well,
my therapist, but you kind of are.
yeah, because you're kind of inviting people to approach home ownership or just even remodeling it differently, and I just love that.
Mm.
And I'm looking forward to reading the book because, as I say, it's like, oh, this is. I mean, even the what you talk about your personality, thinking about your personality, and all those aspects that really are part of who you are as a person and the
Hmm.
lifestyle. Again, when I mentor young kids and choosing the career, I always use the same term too. What's your life? What do you envision about the lifestyle you want? Because
Yes.
if you like to travel a lot,
Mm.
then don't go for a career that requires you to be there, every day,
Yes. Nine to
because you're
five.
not going to be,
Yes.
or for a career that like law, you can only exercise it in the US, in the state, you have the pass the bar. So
Hmm.
basically you have a degree that is not exportable. Whether
That's
if you
right.
do business, then you can go anywhere and really work with that degree. So that lifestyle concept is something definitely that I think we don't put enough attention to.
I think so too. And so, to use your example, if someone likes to travel, they probably don't want to own a 40-acre farm with lots of animals to take care of, unless you have,
Yes.
help, a lot of help. Maybe you want to live of somewhere there's a great airport. Atlanta has a great airport. You can fly anywhere in the world and, have a lock and leave style home that it might still be quite beautiful, but somebody else is doing the maintenance if you're going to be out of town.
Yeah, yeah. I think that's also another point, like second home ownership. I don't know how many of your clients, I think also it's an ideal, like a lot of us like to think about, I want to have a place here.
Hmm.
But then the reality hits of having to take care of different
Two
two
places.
places,
Yeah, or more.
and it's challenging.
Sure, because my parents did this. They had a beach house and then they had a house in Atlanta. And when they would go to the beach house, if they hadn't been there in a while, it was weeding, it was getting the exterminator and cleaning. And
Mhm.
so the first 3 days of their week vacation was spent on maintenance.
Yes,
And
yes,
they
yes, yes.
loved it. I mean, I think they were doers, so that worked for them.
Mhm.
But some people don't like that and they end up selling.
Yeah, yeah, I think that's great advice. In terms of investment, any trends on the more business side of things that you want to share with the audience?
Well, I mean, we're still seeing people looking for investment properties, but inventory is a little bit low, and so they're searching for off-market properties. Um, Florida is some of the investment properties there haven't done quite as well as some people would have wanted. And so people are starting to look now more at, the multiple family dwellings, like the two, three, four, and upwards, the buildings, actually purchasing buildings instead of single family homes for long-term rentals. That's what we're
Interesting.
seeing a little bit more of.
Yeah, well, I'm in Florida, so I can definitely resonate and back for everything you just shared. So very nice. Well, Kim, this is great. Are there any other initiatives? I know you've been on many podcasts. You have a blog that I find it very inspirational. I'm gonna share your webpage, which is lifestylefoundations.com, correct?
Wonderful. Yes.
And it's going to be on my show notes. Anything else that you want to highlight for the audience in terms of inspiration or just home ownership or anything that's in your mind that we haven't discussed?
Well, I really think it's important for people to dive a little deeper. I think something like 82% of everyone who bought a home in the past 2 years has a major regret. And
Mm,
15%, that's between 12 and 15% of folks don't even like the home that they picked because they chose so fast. Slow
mm,
Start the process a little bit early. Maybe read the book or talk to your realtor about the process and dig a little deeper into exactly what you want your lifestyle to look like, and talk about that with your partner if you have one. So you're ready going in knowing these are our non-negotiables, these are the things we're flexible on, and these are the things that we can't have in the house at all. So kind of have a
mm,
list of those things. You're going to have to compromise. Nothing's ever perfect, but I think
mm-hmm.
going into it with an with a structure and a plan will help you making a very costly financial mistake.
Well, great advice. That's great advice. And again, planning and being intentional about anything we do in life, being that you're um, trying to find a partner, buying a house, going for
Hmm.
a career change. I think it's important to take time to pause and think about what is it that you want, how you envision your life. And we're now on the turn of a new year. Vision boards. I'm big on. I don't know if you're big on vision
I
boards.
love
I'm
them.
big on vision boards,
Hmm.
and I think they're used like a cliche. Oh yeah, that's a vision board. It's incredible once
Yeah.
you put it there and you have it in front of you every day. If anything, it's a constant reminder that
Mm.
this was so important that you put it there.
That's right.
So I think it's the same thing with your dream house or something that you want to achieve. I think it's perfect timing to put some thought into what those things are.
Absolutely. I'm living in a house now that I had on a vision board about 7 years ago.
Oh
But it's
wow,
not
that's
the
amazing.
exact house, but very, very similar. Very, it's a
Oh,
cottage.
that's
It's a
amazing.
cottage, so super cute,
Oh,
not too big,
oh.
and like I just like that. Well, I think I manifested that.
That is amazing. Well, the things I am a firm believer of that. It's if you can imagine and think about it, and I know you too, like you want to make the impossible possible. That's big with
Hmm.
me. Like
Hmm.
also the potential, like living in your potential and just going for it. So now you have your cottage. My last question on every episode is about what makes you tick in those days that you are feel a little undersourced. I can now imagine you probably have nice nature around you. What is it that Kim does when you feel a little bit down and you want to reconnect to the essence of who you are?
I go for a walk. It has to have trees, like a woodsy area, and we have lots of trees in Atlanta, but it's even better if it has water. Something about
Mm,
water and
mhm,
walking, moving, like doing a physical walk, like a walking meditation.
mhm,
I'll go for an hour. Sometimes I'll go for 2 hours, right?
mhm, mhm.
And it's moving. It kind of frees up my brain, and something about being out in nature resets me, and that's my go-to.
Well, I will tell you that's in over 300 episodes. That's the most aligned and popular answer because it is true. It
It is
cannot
true.
be that many, many, many have said nature, nature, nature. And
Yeah.
so if you're feeling a little bit down after listening to this episode, hopefully you feel inspired. But if you need to reconnect, go out and take a walk anywhere that has a nice view. And if you don't have, just look at the sky, and that would be nice enough for you to reconnect to yourself, I believe.
Fresh air, sunlight, and a walk.
Nice. Well, thank you, Kim. Thank you so much for being part of Back to Basics. It's been an honor. And yeah, you are doing great work and helping people align their ideal home with their lifestyle. And I think that that's very inspiring.
Thank you so much. And you're doing wonderful work too. I think you're doing great things to help people really be them true selves.
Thank you so much. And to you all out there, thanks for tuning in. And until a new episode of Back to Basics. Bye bye. You've been listening to Back to Basics. You can follow us on Instagram and Facebook. If you haven't yet, subscribe, rate, and review this podcast on Apple Podcast or any of your favorite streaming platforms. This is the best gift you can give us. Join me next week for another Back to Basics conversation. And if you want to find out about other exciting things I'm working on, visit leticialatino.com. Thank you, and until the next time.